Mom, where are you guys?
What is your emergency?
My mom never came home from her trip. I don't know where she is.
Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too. I mean, you're doing such amazing things. You're living every South Asian's dream.
Yeah, I mean, there's more and more South Asians living this dream every day, but I'm excited to be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely representing.
Trying.
Talk to me about your journey. Short films, features, sequels. How is it for you? How's that ride been?
It's surreal. It's very the ride. Like, yeah, how's the ride been? I mean, it feels like it hasn't ended. When I left USC, I met the most key person in my life who sort of started my entire kind of journey for me, who was Sev Ohanian, who I've kind of worked on with everything with, and the first thing we worked on together that we made together was a short film called Seeds, that was all shot on Google Glass by me over 10 days, where I wore a wedding ring, then fake, now real. But it was so funny. Then I was taking it off in between things. Because I was no. But we shot it for 10 days. And I went to my family's house in Hyderabad and shot there, went through Andhra Pradesh and shot in this village there that my parents had a friend whose family was there. It was a very made with our hands project with just
right.
Two people, and made us, and we put it online and it went viral back when viral existed in 2013, or 2014. And it led me to getting a job at Google, where they actually that was a real commercial. That wasn't even a real commercial. We just put the logo at the end of it and hoped people would like it. And then they ended up putting it on their YouTube channel because they liked it, and then hiring me to make their real commercials for them for the next 2 years, where I moved to New York making commercials for them, which was essentially training ground for searching, because it was all technology based commercials and screen stuff. And then that led to that. And then I quit my job at Google to go make searching for a dime on, or penny on the dollar. And then spent 2.5 years on this film that I could never get anybody really excited about when I talked about it before they'd seen it, because it was just okay, so you're making a movie on a computer screen, interesting, blah, blah. And we get to Sundance, I have $600 in my savings account. I'm please, let something happen here. And then we premiered at Sundance, and then it just felt like the lid popped off. We were I was living the entourage dream. We were having a sale at Sundance, going to a cabin. It was in ever since then. And then that movie, now we have a sequel to, it's it is the weirdest. It was weird. I feel so lucky to have been able to do this.
I mean, it sounds so cool, just all of it. How did your family first take it when you're well, I'm just gonna make this little thing and kind of just put it out there?
For the short film?
Yeah, the short film.
Yeah, they were supportive. It's funny. There's so much drama and excitement in that. Just how we made that film and how we got it to YouTube in the first place. But by that point, they'd already committed to me as a filmmaker. I think the bigger challenge was the decision to is USC are we supporting you going to USC kind of a thing for film school? That was the moment that they were all in, and because my whole life I was making short films and shooting them with my brother, and we would have one, if the shot was on me, my brother Anoop was holding the camera. If the shot was on him, I was holding the camera. If we were both in it, it was on a couch, so we were doing these things for our whole life. And once they kind of got they were very into the idea once they were into the idea, in senior year of high school of doing film school. So when we told them hey, we found a way for Google to put it on their YouTube channel, they were smart, let's just keep going. And they've always ironically kept my eye on the ball. I wanted to stay at Google for a little bit even after the offer for searching came in, because I was I work at Google. I'm actually getting paid. I've never been paid in my life. I get free food. I live in New York. I'm 24. This is the greatest thing in the world. And they were no, you have to leave. It doesn't matter. If you chase your passion, money will follow. Quit the job. And I was okay. And so I basically used everything that I made at Google, landed at $600 and got to Sundance.
Well, kudos to your family for pushing you. Let's talk about Missing.
Yeah, sure.
First of all, so I got to watch the screener,
right.
and I'm scared of using technology now. It's amazing the things you can do.
Yeah, it's a very complex movie, and during the writing, we're just constantly looking at the internet and being like, okay, how do we exploit this and make it emotional, whether that emotion is scary or tearful, you know, like what can we do to make this like a really, really emotional experience? So thanks.
Yeah, no, so talk to me, like, how did you come up with this, you know, with the sequel? What were your thought process? What did you want to do different?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like the entire search press tour, we got asked, are we going to do a sequel? And our answer was like, hell no. You know, like, absolutely, I will never, ever, ever do a sequel. And ultimately, I think over time, we realized, like, I used to say, like, it'd be like making a sequel to Memento, you know, which was such a concept-driven film. Like, why would you want to see that again? But what we realized was, like, it wasn't Memento. It was actually a time capsule of the moment the movie was made, you know, and time has changed and the internet has changed. There's 1,000 tools that we use in Missing that didn't exist in Searching. And it's just because the movie takes place in 2023, you know, in 6 months, Missing will be a period piece, which is one of the things that makes this movie so weird, you know, that like there will be some major adjustment to the way we all, you know, use our phones and laptops in a year that like, okay, well, if you made this movie in 4 years from now, you have to use that. So like enough of those add up and suddenly like you have the grounds to make a movie as long as you find the right story.
How did you come up with the cast?
We spent a lot of time looking at what made Searching so good, or not so good, but what made it so itself, I guess. Like, what are the tenets of that film that we wanted to carry over? And for a long time, we asked ourselves, is this an Asian American franchise? Like, is this like, does this movie need to have an Asian American lead? Is this something that we want to hook onto forever? And ultimately, we realized, like, man, the reason we even did that in the first place was because it just was the right choice for the movie. And like, not because there was a political agenda or an executive telling us like, we love diversity. You know, it was just like, hey, I grew up in Silicon Valley. The movie's about a software engineer. I didn't see that relationship with any Indians that I knew. And I just felt like it was more, I saw it with my Korean friends. I saw it with my Japanese friends, the way they handled grief. And I was just like, oh, I really want to cast an Indian family, but I don't see it. And so we went with a Korean family there and we wrote the role for John Cho because it felt right to the movie. And like suddenly starting as that as a requirement for Missing was just like, it felt wrong. It felt like suddenly we were like joining this bandwagon fad of the word diversity. And like, it just didn't feel right. And so we were like, let's just start with the story. Looked at a list of names and we're like, Storm Reid, we can make a movie around her. And that felt still like we were putting voices and faces on screens in context that they are not normally seen in, like, and making a movie that felt right and true to itself.
What's in store next?
Saying no to a sequel for the moment.
You said that last time too, so.
Exactly, I know. So we'll see, 4 years will go by. We'll be having this conversation again. The movie I'm going to direct next, my third directorial movie, I think I've had this idea when I was 18 years old. It's always been a budget that we couldn't achieve because I was not a filmmaker that was established. And Sev and I have been writing this screenplay now for about 2.5 years. And we're about 2.5 months away from, I think, this going out to try and get this made. So we're going to go make a bigger movie in the next few months, as long as somebody will have us. But that's what's on the horizon.
How exciting. Well, I just want to wish you the best of luck. And,
Thanks,
you know,
Nia.
like I said, you're living every South Asian's dream right now. And so, you know, just keep representing and making us proud.
That's very nice of you. It's a two-way street. We're all doing the thing here. We're all doing the thing we wanted to do.
Well, thank you and best of luck.
Thanks.